Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Today's program spots some remarkable destinations, each represented by their destination management organization. Together, they'll unveil what's new and exciting for travelers and travel writers in 2026, from fresh attractions and cultural experiences to innovative ways of exploring their regions. Alongside these highlights, we'll touch on a few emerging travel trends that are shaping how visitors engage with destinations. This is your chance to hear directly from the experts about the latest offerings that will inspire journeys and articles in the year ahead. So, as mentioned, we've got a distinguished panel with us today, and let me share my screen. I've got a graphic. Okay, so we've got a great panel with us today, and we have representing Destination Gettysburg, Mary Grace Kaufman, the Media Relations Manager. From Discover Surrey, Chantel Jean, the Marketing Manager. Lee Court is with us today, the Media and Publicity Contact for Mission Resort and Club. Deanna Henderson from New Orleans and Company is the Senior Manager of International Communications and Public Relations. Wilma Harvey is with us from River Parishes Tourism, and she's the Director of Sales and Business Development. Michael Hogan from Travel Central Florida is the Senior Communications Supervisor, and we have from Travel Santa Ana, Maria Gonzalez. She's the Content and Community Engagement Manager. And from Visit Carlsbad, we have Maria Riley, and Maria is the Communications and Public Relations Manager. So as you can see, we've got a great lineup, and we may have one or two additional guests joining us. But now I'm going to turn it over to co-host and IFTWA President, Corey Solomon, and she'll serve as the MC. So, Corey, I'm going to stop sharing and we'll let you take over.
Okay. So I'm going to be asking each destination some questions. The first question will go to all the destinations because they're going to all have different answers. And that question's, what's the newest and most exciting feature or attraction in your destination for 2026? And I'm going to start with Mary Grace Kaufman from Destination Gettysburg.
Hi, thank you for having me. Thanks everyone for being here. 2026 is going to be a really big year for us. So Gettysburg, you may or may not know, site of the bloodiest battle of the American Civil War and site of Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. So history in small town in South Central PA is what we're known for. So for us, America 250 is going to be really big. We are planning a lot of events for the year. Including, recreation of the Gettysburg Address, our battle anniversary, a Revolutionary War film festival. So we're going to have events scattered throughout the year, but we're really looking at it as a year-long celebration of the 250th, looking back at 250 years of American history and highlighting some of those pivotal moments that Gettysburg is known for. I can talk some more details about that later on. But we're also a really good location. We're about 2.5, 3 hours from Philadelphia, an hour and a half north of DC. So if you're looking for like a mid-Atlantic road trip of historic places for the 250th, we're in a really good location for that. Also attraction-wise, we just opened the Gettysburg Railway. It's a scenic train excursion that goes from downtown Gettysburg about 90 minutes into the countryside, Biglerville area. So it goes past the battlefield. It goes through some really pretty wooded areas and into the apple country. And they're doing different themed rides. The cars are totally renovated. They're 1950s era cars, but they're modern luxury. So it's a really nice experience. I've been on the train a couple times. So happy to answer any more questions, but I know my time is limited, so I'll keep it short and sweet.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay. Chantel Dean from Discover Surrey.
Thank you, Corey. Yeah, 2026 is going to be a big year for Surrey, BC. Surrey is one of Canada's fastest growing and most culturally diverse cities, pacing to outgrow Vancouver in 2030. So we are really building on that momentum in 2026. As a defining year for our destination. We're seeing the same national trends as per the pre-meeting notes. So travelers wanting deeper cultural connection, travelers wanting slower immersive experiences. So we're really well poised for that in 2026. Last year we launched our signature experiences, most of which are food and beverage centric, including cupcake decorating with a Netflix star. We've got whiskey and wine tastings. So that's something just as a refresh from our update from last year. This year, we are going to be undergoing a relaunch of our Spice Trail. So Surrey, it has a diverse cultural tapestry, and it comes out very expressively in our food profile. So really looking at ways to engage the consumer with interactive experiences, a little gamification concept of really allowing people to navigate and explore different culinary experiences across the vastness geographically of Surrey, and really tangibilizing that and making it a sort of a fun itinerary and an engaging itinerary. Also, FIFA 2026 is starting to unravel or unfold here in terms of what's going to be expected from a destination level, and with Surrey being a corridor city between Vancouver and Seattle, it gives fans and teams access to the action without the destination city price tag. So we can achieve access to all of these sporting events and fan zones very economically for that traveler wanting to experience a little bit of a flavor change from more of our iconic destinations.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, Chantel.
Next up, we'll have Lee Court, who represents the Mission Resort and Club, and she is actually one of our newest associate members.
Actually, I am returning after many years, and it's just so terrific to know that the organization is alive and healthy. And now that I'm back into just representing one destination instead of a whole collection during the past 20 years, I chose the Mission Resort and Club in Howey in the Hills, Florida, because nobody really, even in Florida, most people didn't know where Howey in the Hills was. People thought it was a craft cocktail. And the resort is celebrating the 100th anniversary of the town, that in the teens, actually, Mr. Howey purchased 60,000 acres of citrus, and it was the citrus capital that sadly is no longer in our part of Central Florida. We're about a half hour from Orlando, but Howey in the Hills is rural. It's nothing like Orlando. It's definitely a historic golf destination that deserve to have some media trips. So we are not the entire county of Lake County with 1,000 lakes, but we certainly are the main show of what's going on in Lake County, directly in the center of Florida. I think the most exciting part of representing the Mission Resort is the 100 years of American history that nobody knows about yet. And it's been wonderful to hear only in the past few weeks of returning to IFW that members wanted to come because they really didn't know where we were. And the newness of the old resort is exciting because it was just purchased for the very first time by a new family, the family who created it almost 100 years ago. Multi-generations decided not to continue with the ownership, and the prior owners of the historic King and Prince Beach and Golf Resort in St. Simon's Island, the Sturdivant family just purchased the Mission Resort and Club. So we're historic golf, we're historic town, smack in the center of Florida that nobody has heard about in the past. So that's our goal, to introduce Howey in the Hills and Lake County, known for its 1,000 lakes.
Great, thank you. Deanne Hernandez from New Orleans. Your
Hey,
turn.
everybody. Thank you so much, Corey and David, for inviting us and hosting us on this webinar. I'm really excited to speak to you about New Orleans. We are the most remarkable, or at least one of the most remarkable, unique, and welcoming cities in the world. And for 2026, I'm actually about to drop a press release that we have on our top 6 what's new in New Orleans for 2026. And I'll kind of just briefly go through them with you. We get off to a really, really strong start in the beginning of the year with a Rockin' 1000 rock concert. It is the first time ever that this concert has come to the United States. It's pretty big internationally in Europe and in other countries, but the purpose of it is to really highlight rock music, and it gives 1,000 amateur musicians, garage band musicians throughout the world of all skill levels to be able to play a big stadium style concert together in New Orleans. So that'll take place on January 31st. We are trying to sell tickets for it through, it's at the Caesar Superdome. Through that date, and we are running packages as well for travelers to be able to enjoy a full experience tied to this Rockin' 1000. We've recently been named the UNESCO Creative City for Music this past year. Just actually about last month is when we got the announcement or the designation clarified. So we're really excited about that. It's a strong start to 2026. And then immediately following that, Mardi Gras is actually following a little bit on the early side this year over Valentine's Day weekend and President's Day weekend. So we're actually unofficially calling it Valengras. And it's a, Mardi Gras. But I'm glad that somebody finds that cute because I've been using it a lot. I like it. Who doesn't love love? So it's going to be a very fun period of time. The biggest parades really fall over the 2 weekends leading up to Mardi Gras Day on February 17. So the first big weekend being Friday, February 6th, and then going on through February 17th. I see that my counterpart in Lafayette is on the call as well, Jesse. And just to push Mardi Gras a little bit more, Lafayette also does an amazing celebration that's completely different than New Orleans, actually, dare I say, possibly more fun in a totally different way. I'm sure he'll talk about that in a little bit. Finally, moving on into the summer months, we've got Sail 250 with New Orleans being the site of the first stop for the tall ships to leave the port of New Orleans and sail onwards to different cities throughout the U.S. That'll take place May 28th through June 1st. And it will certainly be a sight to see. There will be a lot of pomp going around that. For outdoors people, I know that Louisiana, our state, is celebrating its year of outdoors in 2026. So tying into that, we are hosting the Live Golf Tournament at the Bayou Oaks Golf Course in City Park. A lot of people don't know that New Orleans has a city park that is the 3rd largest urban archetype in the U.S., right behind Central Park in New York City. So that is something that will be very fun, and that's something that us New Orleanians love to go to, that city park, not just the golf course, but the Storyville, the beignets, the Big Lake, the New Orleans Museum of Art. It's a wonderful time. More relevant to our food and wine travel writers who are here today, we're going to be hosting again the Bocuse d'Or and Pastry World Cup in July 2026. And then, of course, I would be remiss to not also mention that FIFA will also be taking place around that time throughout many cities in New Orleans that have direct flights to those host cities. So I know that for Dallas and Houston, Miami, those markets, if you're going to watch a World Cup game in those stadiums, I noticed that a trend for a lot of travelers, especially international travelers, but domestic as well, is that you don't want to just only see one city. If you've got enough days off and if you have the opportunity to, there are a lot of really quick direct flights and also the new Amtrak Mardi Gras service train that can get you throughout the entire Gulf Coast region very quickly at a very reasonable price. Prices in economy start at $15 and business class start around $25 or $30. So that's a really great way to travel throughout the region. So those are my top events going on for 2026. Thank you so much for giving me the floor.
Thank you. Wilma Harvey from River Parishes is going to be the next to speak. She's having a little had a problem with her picture, so unfortunately you have to look at a white screen, but Wilma will excite you with her area.
Okay, 2026. Like Deanna said, Louisiana's theme for 2026 is the year of outdoors. So we'll be focusing on one of our major sub-brands, which is New Orleans Swamp Country, that features our primary outdoor activities, which are our swamp tours, our airboat tours. We have zip lining over the swamps and kayaking. We're going to be including, we're working on it now, Perique tobacco. Let me tell you a little bit about Perique tobacco. It is a tobacco that grows only in St. James Parish and not anywhere else in the world. So we have a farm. This is going to be a part of our outdoors. It's called 31 Farms, and they will be doing tours, Perique tours, to show you the process from the beginning of Perique out in the fields, and also when it goes into the barrels. I'm very excited. This is one of my favorite. I'm excited about our other sub brand, my major one, which is Bonfire Country. We're in that season now, but it's going to be expanded in 2026. And Bonfire Country is when all the local residents in the entire river parishes, which is St. John, well, no, not St. Charles. Well, St. Charles is included. St. Charles, St. John the Baptist, and St. James, they build bonfires all along the Mississippi River levee. We're in that season now. They just started building them after Thanksgiving. These are not your traditional bonfires. You're going to see alligators, frogs, just these beautiful, elaborate bonfires. And I keep saying, I know I'm going to see probably a Taylor Swift, a Beyonce bonfire this year, because this is how elaborate they are. They are just fantastic and they're beautiful. We've expanded our Bonfire Country to include tours. We'll have tours at plantations. Felicity and Destrehan, they started it off this year. We'll have more, and their tours will include a tour of the plantation. You're going to get a meal, and you're going to get a lighting of a bonfire. That is going to be expanded to more plantations next year and probably a few attractions. One of our main exhibits for the bonfires are this group that's called Blood, Sweat, and Bonfires. They build the huge, elaborate exhibit every year. People come from all over the world to see this bonfire, but people come from all over the world to see it burn also, because on Christmas Eve, all the bonfires that are along the Mississippi River levee, they're lighted at one time, 7 o'clock, they burn at one time. It doesn't matter what the weather is. If it's super hot or if it's freezing cold, because you know how it is in South Louisiana, you never know what the weather is, but they do burn that bonfire, and it is fantastic. Now, what's new with Blood, Sweat, and Bonfires? they are doing bonfire building activities. So they have some programs now where you can come out. I don't think it matters what time of the year, and they will show you how to build a bonfire. Every year, well, we just started it this year. We do a big unveiling of the main exhibit bonfire by Blood, Sweat, and Bonfires. That was coordinated between me, the St. John the Baptist Parish Library, and Blood, Sweat, and Bonfires. Our unveiling was fantastic. It was 2 weeks ago, and they always exhibit and say what the main exhibit is going to be. We will be having garden tours next year because we're celebrating, the year of outdoors. So Oak Alley, Destrehan, and a couple of other places have beautiful gardens. So we'll be doing that. And then as far as our food, we will be expanding our Andouille Trail, which goes throughout the entire river reach, the river parishes. That's where restaurants prepare a special andouille dish. And then Spuddy's Cajun cooking experience, you can go there and learn how to make andouille from scratch. And he's starting back to have his Facebook live show again, where you can watch him cook an andouille dish every Wednesday night. And that's basically what all I have right now. So Corey, you can pass it on to the next marketing part.
Thank you. Okay, next up will be Michael Hogan from Travel Central Florida.
Thank you, Corey and David, for having me on here and hosting us. Really, what's new in Central Florida, in our part of Central Florida, which is Polk County, Florida, for 2026, still enjoying the Effects of Sea Life aquarium that opened at Legoland, Florida. So that is still very fresh on visitors' minds when they come to Legoland, Florida in Winter Haven. So that is still a very popular attraction. But then Legoland is also continuing with their biggest expansion in their park's history with the opening of their new indoor roller coaster at Legoland called Galacticoaster in February of 2026. So from a family travel attraction theme park aspect, those are the two big things that are still continuing to be in the forefront of our destination. Obviously, the World Cup coming through in 2026 through Mexico, the U.S., and Canada. Miami being a site of some first round games. Orlando is a host hub. So there will be a lot going on in Orlando. And even though we don't represent Orlando, our eastern part of our county is 7 miles from Disney. So there's going to be a lot of a bleed over into Polk County from fans that are coming in internationally and domestically in to follow their country's teams. So we continue to push what we always push, the authenticity and the affordability of a place like Polk County, just like Lee said with Lake County. We are the affordable and the authentic destination that you would want to come to when you visit Florida. And then from a culinary standpoint, really the big new thing that has just opened and will continue to grow in 2026 is again a real traditional Florida experience, going out and picking your own citrus. And along those lines, with a new farm that's opened up, Golden Ridge Farms in Polk County, just outside of Lake Wales. They have kind of a groundbreaking, trailblazing type of farming, agriculture that they're doing called a cups farming, cups growing, which is citrus under protective screening. So if you can just picture big distribution size warehouses that are covered with what would be a screen that would cover like a lanai or your back porch. I was out there for the first time last week, and it is absolutely unbelievable to see, with all kinds of grapefruits, oranges, tangerines, all of that stuff in there. So it's basically to not allow a lot of the infection and the bugs that came in over the past decade to clean out and destroy a lot of the citrus industry. That is keeping that stuff out. And it is a more natural way to grow a lot of the citrus and a lot of the produce and fruit that you are accustomed to getting when you come to Florida. So that's a you pick thing. You can go there, you can pick your own fruit, you can go and you can cut sunflowers, you can do all of that stuff. So that's really a big thing that is going to continue to grow within the county, along with everything else that we have to offer, that I'm happy to talk about. So I will give it back to Corey.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Next, Jesse, who most of us know here who are on the webinar, from Travel Lafayette.
Hey everybody, it's good to see some familiar faces. Thanks for having me back on. Much like Deanna, I dropped our latest blog post on what's new in Lafayette. I'm only going to be touching on some of it, but you can kind of scroll through and get the full picture. So kicking off with Mardi Gras, one of our big things, we have a thing that we launched a year or two ago called our Mardi Gras Insider's Guide, which we continually update. But basically, it's a 5-day itinerary that I took from hosting media over 10 years, kind of made that itinerary for the more leisure visitor. So whenever you sign up for it, you get an itinerary and then recommendations based on who you're traveling with, but you get the full experience of Mardi Gras and Cajun and Creole country. And like Deanna said, we are a little bit different because we have city and country Mardi Gras, but that guide walks you through what those are, like how you can pick, kind of like choose your own adventure, how much you want to participate and be in it, or if you just want to watch it. So we do a good job of walking you through all of that so you can get a really immersive experience that takes you not only inside of Lafayette, but outside of some of the more rural parishes where the more interesting chicken chasing happens and some of the other traditions. Another fun event that I don't want to say I'm spearheading, but it was an idea that I had that I'm partnering with somebody to do, a news station here. It's the King Cake Taste Off. So if you guys are familiar with King Cake, most people have an idea of like what their favorite is, and I always like kind of blowing that out the water and trying to get people to try something new. So we are doing a King Cake Taste Off, and this is the first time in Lafayette where you are going to be able to taste, I think, like 25 different kinds of king cake in one venue, which is not something I've ever personally done, and I'm very excited about it. But there's going to be a judging and a case off, and they're going to be doing all of this live on TV 10, and it's going to be accessible in various markets outside of Louisiana. So we're very excited about that. Moving on the food side of things. The state just came out with a hot sauce trail, and then those that were here knew that we had the Tabasco experience that's just outside of Lafayette. And so we are going to be pushing that, as well as just the overall hot sauce trail, and then some other agricultural stuff with people that are growing hot sauces, one of which is, I'm going to space out on it. It's one of the hottest peppers, and it's grown just outside of Lafayette. He has some product and some seasonings here, Primo Peppers. He was featured on a Hulu documentary as well, and so we're going to be featuring him as part of the hot sauce trail as well. And then with the state, they have the Year of Outdoor that was mentioned through a couple of people. So we have some things planned for that, one of which is something that I've been doing for a while called the Vermilion Voyage. It's a 3-day, 50-mile overnight paddle throughout the duration of Lafayette and Vermilion Parish. And it's a curated experience. You have a guide that takes you down the river. You get to understand how the river shaped the culture here. We talk about the flora, the fauna. I curate a very interesting culinary experience and source, like even the sandwiches. The bread is from a local mill and bakery. The meats are being cured at the Acadiana Superette. And then we bring in various people to kind of do some more cultural things. For instance, live music performance. Sometimes we'll show a local feature movie, and then we do a concert and a historic cattle barn. So it's a really unique experience that spans 3 days and 50 miles, and time just kind of ceases to stop, and you're very much one with the river. And then we also have our Azalea Trail, which kind of it fluctuates with weather because it is flowers. So late February all the way through March, but on the website they do have a bloom watch that kind of lets you know what to expect in terms of like when to expect it. So if you want to plan your trip around it. But this is something, you're not just looking at flowers. It starts at our visitor center and there's things weaved into it, but it spans the entire city. There's also a section of it that you can bike. There's a section of it that you can walk. So you can really get a sense of the town and the different neighborhoods as you drive through at different stops. Stop for some boudin, get a drive-through daiquiri, enjoy yourself. Another super thing that we're working on expanding is the African American Heritage Trail. It was something that was formalized last year through a grant through a bunch of different organizations, and we're working to expand that with at least 3 new stops. And so that will be more of a formalized, it's a self-guided tour, but we are working with some guides to be able to formalize that and turn that into more of a kind of well-rounded experience. So that's something that we're very excited about. Looking ahead in terms of towards the end of the year, I am personally very excited about the Lafayette Hotel, which is going to be one of the newer hotels that's not a chain property, that's going to be built in the heart of our downtown area, over 80 rooms with meeting space, pool, and a tiki bar, which I'm very excited about. Bayou Teche Brewing, which is in Arnaville. Some of you may have stopped there, the Cajun Salsa Pizza. And the brewery, they are actually going to be the hotel. A version of their food is going to be in the hotel, and they're going to run the tiki bar. So it's all very local. It's a Southern run group that's putting this hotel on. So we're very excited about that. And then with that, the Children's Museum, which is right on the side of this hotel, they just commissioned a muralist to paint the entire side of that wall. And I know y'all don't have a sense for how big that is, but it's going to be one of the largest murals in Lafayette until we do the University Underpass, which will be 700 feet long. So that's going to be next year. But in that nice little space, we'll have the hotel, the mural, and then we're actually closing off a street and making a promenade on the side of it to make it more walkable, which is right on the side of our big performance space and accessible park where we have a lot of our free outdoor concerts. And then finally this year, Festival International, which is the largest outdoor Francophone festival in the United States, is turning 40 years old. It rubs up against Jazz Fest in New Orleans. Jazz Fest runs 2 weekends. Festival International is 1 weekend. So we have a lot of people that will come down for one. And I love to encourage people to take the train to New Orleans to catch Jazz Fest for the second one. And then if you really want to stay in Louisiana for a really long time, there's the Baton Rouge Blues Festival that takes place. So you can get the run of all of the music that happens there. And that's what's happening in Lafayette in 2026.
Thank you, Jesse. Okay, next up is Maria Gonzalez from Travel Santa Ana.
Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here. Santa Ana is in Orange County, California, and the honor of hosting a couple of your organization's travel writers to our destination to experience, just our small town. And we're looking forward. If we don't host a FAM, just please reach out. I would love to host some of you, but let me share what's happening in 2026 and what piques your interest. For me, one of the newest and most exciting attractions for 2026 is our Santa Ana Zoo's premier exhibit. Our Amazon's Edge is it's a 7.4 million renovation. So it's going to be like an underwater viewing habitat where there's going to be giant sea otters and large monkeys. So that's going to be kind of fun, and it's for, family to experience. And then for my history lovers, our cultural Bowers Museum, there's a new exhibit that's happening and unveiling. It's called India's Textiles Exhibit. So it's Global Threats, India's Textile Revolution. Basically, the theme is how India's trade influence, fashion in the world. So that's going to be really exciting. And if you haven't experienced the museum, it's such a cultural art hub. And then for my foodies, we have lots of culinary adventures for you. If anyone is a bean lover, we have a 3-day bean festival that happens. It's at Alta Baja Market in partnership with the Rancho Gordo owner. And basically, it's a 3-day festival, and there's everything from like drag queen bingo to bean monologues, and so much happening, which is really, really cool. And there's lots of tastings, and you can to learn how to cook with beans. And then a 4-mile streetcar is set to launch in the spring of 2026. It's been a long way coming. So that's going to make our city more accessible. And then for art lovers, lots of new mural unveilings. We had a big mural. We're a sister city with Saguayo, Michoacan, Mexico. So we had some of their artists and some of our artists work on this beautiful, magnificent mural. But we have over 200 murals and sculptures that you can view on a walking tour. It's super exciting and fascinating. And then we also have lots of really cool culinary adventures. We have the culinary passport and our Michelada guide, and we just added some brand new restaurants. And then in our destination, I don't know if you've heard about listening bars. We have a really cool bar that just opened up called Sonder, and they're expanding their menu next year. So it's definitely worth checking out, and it's brand new. And then, of course, with Los Angeles, it's about an hour away from our destination, and FIFA coming in 2026. We're positioning Santa Ana as the next best place to watch the World Cup if you're not going to make it out. Because I don't know if you heard, but some of those tickets are really expensive, like $1,500 to $3,000. But fans love to be near the action. So we're going to have lots of cool watch parties in our destination. And then, people can drive up to LA and then come back down and experience all the actions. We have lots of great bars and restaurants that have, lots of great viewing experiences for all of our guests who are coming to our destination. So yeah, please reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. We're going to hit another Maria Riley from Visit Carlsbad.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you today. Well, I can say one of the reasons we're so excited about 2026 is we were just selected by Travel and Leisure as one of the best and top destinations to visit in 2026. Still, that's coming off my tongue there. Specifically on the culinary front, but you know what? We were listed as #1 on their social media, so I'll take that for what we have for 2026. Things that we have. So Carlsbad, for those that might not know, we're 45 minutes north of San Diego and a little bit longer to get to Orange County. So pretty much we're right in the middle of San Diego and Orange County. With that being said, Carlsbad has its own airport. So in 2025, we now have a direct flight from Carlsbad to Phoenix. And in 2026, United Airlines is adding direct flights from Denver and San Francisco to the Carlsbad airport. So that's huge. I mean, we've seen just having Phoenix, which is one of our #1 drive markets, to be able to have that airfare option into Carlsbad. So we're very excited about United coming in. That should be towards the end of March. On the hotel front, we do have a new hotel coming in. It will be replacing the Sheraton that's next to the Westin in Carlsbad. Hotel Solea, based off of pictures I've seen, it's going to be about a 200-room hotel, and it'll best represent that laid-back luxury feel that you get in Carlsbad. What's wonderful, too, is this whole group of hotels, there's a private entrance to Legoland. So that doesn't change or anything like that, but it'll be a wonderful new addition to the hotels that we have in Carlsbad. And one of the things too with Carlsbad, I mentioned the laid back luxury. I also want to stress that we have hotels available for all budget ranges. So everything from, budget wallet friendly to this laid back luxury. So, something for everyone here in Carlsbad. I know this was mentioned earlier, but Legoland California Resort will be introducing the Lego Galaxy in March of this year. As mentioned, that's the first new roller coaster in 20 years that will be there. They're going to have a lot of things attached to that too, including a junior astronaut training, which I think is really cool. So we love our partners over at Legoland, and they always come with amazing things for families. One of the things I would say is Carlsbad on the culinary scene, it's popping. We have 2 Michelin star restaurants, keeping our fingers crossed for a potential third one in 2026. That would be amazing if that happened. But the culinary scene, we're with this rise with the culinary, with Michelin star, we're also getting, definitely eyes being looked at Carlsbad with other chefs. We do know of a couple restaurants that will be opening in 2026 that will very much be of interest. We have our nationally recognized Carlsbad food tour, and a whole lot of other things. Another trend that I'm seeing in Carlsbad on the culinary front is we do have several natural wine bars that have opened that are turning out to be quite popular. So that's exciting. And then obviously Carlsbad's known for its coffee everywhere. So whatever floats your boat with that. The one thing that I love is we've really been recognized lately as a Hallmark town. Might not be your typical Hallmark town that you see on Hallmark with snow and everything. We have palm trees. So we are definitely that coastal Hallmark feel that's in Carlsbad. And we do have a very popular event, so popular that in 2026, the format's going to change a little bit, but it's called the Hearts of Carlsbad Village. And at its basis, it's during Valentine's Day weekend, and Valentine's Day does fall on Saturday this year. But what happens is we have this local artist called Barrio Glassworks, and they make these huge glass hearts, like about this size. And in the past, they've been hidden throughout Carlsbad Village. And it's just a scavenger hunt to find these hearts. And it's gotten crazy popular. So there's going to be some changes for this year. Might be based off of a Hallmark movie. We're always inspired by Hallmark here. But the format's going to change a little bit for this year. And I think everyone's going to be really excited for that. So anybody that's into Hallmark, we definitely have some good stories for you on that front. Another trend that continues that's of interest for Carlsbad is agritourism. We obviously have the very popular flower fields of Carlsbad Ranch, and that season runs through March 1st through Mother's Day. And in 2026, they're constantly adding new activities, experiences that you can have at the flower fields. And so we wrap our whole spring earned media campaign around the flower fields. It's just a really beautiful time to visit Carlsbad. We also have the Carlsbad Strawberry Company. We had one writer that mentioned Carlsbad as strawberry scented. I never realized that, but I could see that. But the Carlsbad Strawberry Company, you can go during the springtime primarily and go pick your own strawberries. And then they do have events through the rest of the year too. So we also, going back to hotels, we have several hotels that will be having some pretty substantial renovations. That information has not been released yet, but that's exciting. We also have, speaking of renovations, our Carlsbad Theater, which is the heart of Carlsbad Village. It's almost 100 years old, but it has been closed for the last 10 years. And there are new owners for that. And hopefully our Carlsbad Theater will come back to its full glory. And with that, they're hoping to have a Carlsbad Film Festival. I don't know if that will launch in 2026. It could be 2027, but that's exciting. And like I mentioned earlier too, we do have a spring earned media campaign that we incorporate a lot of these exciting elements in. And that's something we try to get out to writers about all the wonderful things that are happening here in Carlsbad, especially in 2026. So thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thank you. Dave, I know I was going to have you ask that question, but I think Wilma answered it in the
Yeah.
chat.
So there was one question. I'll just give the response in case people aren't checking the chat. And Wilma of River Parishes states that they'd love to host writers during the bonfire festivities that you talked about in 2026, and you can contact her for more information. And speaking of that, if you want to contact any of the representatives who are here today, you can do that by going to the membership directory on the IFTWA website. And so you can check in the associate member section and you'll be able to get contact information for them.
Okay. Along with each of our destinations are going to get a second question. They will not all be the same question. So we want to keep you guys on your toes who are listening here. But I'd also like, when I ask the question, please include if you are having a media trip this year in your destination, or we just contact you for if we want to come to the area. So because I know one person here does have a media trip, but it would be good for us to know and to hear a little more about it and go from there. Okay, so I'm going to start with Chantel. And the question I'm going to ask Chantel, wait, let me find it. Okay. Okay, we know that people are wanting to experience the culture more, and the culture, and they also want to see a place in more depth. So knowing that, what experiences does your destination offer to help people connect and experience your destination in depth?
Yeah, great question. I think Surrey is well poised for cultural showcase. There's a couple of things going on that fit that brief. Firstly, our signature experiences, our 8 signature experiences, have been positioned to outline the diversity of Surrey. So we've got and all showcase sort of a bit of the flavor within this area. So travelers can participate in anything from a Bollywood class, sign up for a Bollywood class. There's a Netflix star called Jadar Man who runs a cupcake decorating tour, which is highly immersive, and he is super engaging, and you walk away with a really beautiful takeaway and delicious takeaway. We've also got a whiskey tour, a winery tour, and all of these are sort of back of house introductions to the operations, the storytelling of the proprietor, of the business owner. There's a culinary tour called Spice of Life. You can see them on our website, but they really bring you through full scope. A bird watching tour as well, which ends with a little coffee chat. Yeah, really brings you to the back of house experience, and really showcases what Surrey is all about in terms of our cultural tapestry. The Spice Trail as well that I mentioned before. We have had the Spice Trail as sort of a passive product, sort of some dots on the map, pins on the map is where you can explore different culinary flavors within this massive geographical region. We're going to get a lot more specific and highlight really well structured culinary businesses that will be able to really dive more into the storytelling aspect of it. So with that, we'll be having a lot of integrating integrated campaigns and really immersive touch points for the consumer to make it approachable for a guest who may be experiencing these foraying into new flavor profiles and spice experiences. So sort of really making it approachable from not a spice scale, but more so from a flavor profile and a culinary cultural culinary experience.
Okay, thank you. Are you going to have any media trips in 2026, meaning group or?
Yes, we're likely. So the Spice Trail specifically is going to be launching in 2 phases. We'll be doing a soft launch in May just to get the kinks sorted out with the tech stack involved in that gamification experience. And then in October, we will likely be organizing a media fam. There's no structure to it yet, but please, if you're interested in participating in that, that would be lined up for early October.
Okay. Next, because she has to leave, I'm going to go to Deanna. I was going to give you sort of a similar question where people want a cultural experience, which New Orleans definitely has. But they want more slowness many want more slowness in their travel. You're kind of getting the slow movement moving into the travel as well as food and wine. And so they kind of want to stop and smell the roses. Are you seeing that trend in your area? And if so, tell us, that can also let us know the types of travelers you're seeing coming in for, say, the Mardi Gras, or are they coming from all over the world? I know we have the World Cup, but,
Sure.
so I'll let you go with that one.
No, I'm glad that you brought that up, and that's a very good point, Corey. We are absolutely noticing a trend towards slow travel. But on that same opposite extreme, I think we've recently had the launch of the Amtrak Mardi Gras service train line that runs directly along the Gulf Coast from Mobile through Mississippi and terminates here in New Orleans. And with that, we're also seeing on the opposite end a bit of a tick up in drive market travel, where I think that I'm hearing the term microdose travel, if that makes sense, where people will come in for a very quick getaway to just recharge and just kind of find themselves in a completely different scenario to kind of refresh their creative brains a bit, so they'll take microdose trips. So we're finding an uptick in that, especially within our local drive markets from Texas to Alabama or the Florida panhandle, perhaps. For those microdosers, ironically, despite wanting to kind of get away and do the slow travel, I'm finding that they want to also hit up as much as they can while they're in the scenario. So they'll jump from everywhere from a sports and outdoors type of a yoga class outing to also wanting a cooking class and kind of getting in touch with those Creole flavors. As Jesse mentioned, big difference between Creole and, well, not big difference between Creole and Cajun flavors, and kind of really wanting to deep dive into that cultural history. So you're right, New Orleans being such a big cultural melting pot and being such a port city with a variety of cultures intertwined and all living side by side for over 300 years. A lot of travelers can get both a microdose of everything and nothing in one, if you want to call it, where they're supposed to be getting away. But I have been finding that they, are like just so interested in participating in everything that they've got going on. It's such a vibrant city. What I love about New Orleans is there's not a single day of my life that goes by that I don't hear live music. We've got over 500 local artists, and there is an online artist database of exactly those musicians. Again, tying into being or a big part of why we were named a UNESCO Creative City for Music. We are the birthplace of jazz music, and we also kind of go into there's this great place called the Dewdrop Inn that really leans into why that jazz music has evolved into rock and roll that has spread throughout the area. So with that, we also have well over 80 events and festivals throughout the year. Most of them are food and music based, because what's a festival without good food and great music? So linked, into the chat, I dropped in our events calendar so that you can all see exactly which events are going on. But just for example, in October alone, just because that's the first month that my eyes are falling on, we've got the Crew of Boo Halloween Parade, we've got the National Fried Chicken Festival, the Crescent City Barbecue and Blues Festival, NOLA Funk Fest, Chantilly Fest, Oktoberfest, and Praise Fest, if you want to talk about gospel music, which also involves a variety of food that, if we really want to go into that, a lot of our culture is shaped by the Catholic and Voodoo religions. So those flavors are also apparent in the music, if you will. So we've got a very robust event calendar, and people who do want to come to New Orleans are trying to more lean into a specific angle to be able to experience that slow travel. And, us as a tourism board, we also do try to theme it based on what the state is doing. As Jesse and Wilma were saying, this is the year of outdoors that we're proposing. So going back to what you said, Corey, as far as food trends and how people are wanting to really truly explore a destination, explore the heritage behind the food, and truly sit down, enjoy the meal, and enjoy an experience. Michelin just awarded 2 stars to Emerald's and 1 star, I believe, to Saint Germain and Zazu, with a number of restaurants also listed with the Bib Gourmand and notable awards. So with that, the food scene is really leaning into creating a variety of different experiences. I know one of especially with the cultural diversity that we offer here in the city. I know one of the restaurants that is a good example of that I've recently dined at is Kingsway. They are a first-generation immigrant Indian family who have brought Indian flavors to New Orleans, and this newest experience is a Michelin-style tasting menu that kind of blends some of those flavors that you will find everywhere throughout New Orleans, and really honors exactly what that melting pot is and looks like right now. So those are my top things that I can share with you in this short time. I'm so sorry that I have to jump off, and I would love to talk to you more.
Dina, are you going to be having a group media trip this coming year?
I'm certainly open to it. As far as media fams go, we do host some journalists over Mardi Gras, but that fills up very quickly just because the hotel rooms are booked very far in advance. So I do have a few spots open for that. And lately we've been pushing the Amtrak line, and I've been working very closely with Mobile's DMO. It just launched in September of 2024. So it's still relatively new. Yeah, that's we've been hosting a few FAMs related to traveling along that train route. I'm very open to working with multi-city FAMs and a variety of journalists who are exploring the same angle.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Maria Gonzalez, what is the most compelling reason to write about your destination in 2026? You're muted.
Santa Ana is one of the newest DMOs, even though the city's over 100 years old. I think just right now getting the word out that it is a city of celebrations. That's something that we're branding our city as. We also, like Diane, have a very robust event calendar. There's always something happening every weekend. You can experience something new. This Saturday, for example, we have the Tamal Festival. So we have 80% Latino population, and we just have a celebration around the tamal. If you love pan dulce or the sweet bread conchas in, October, we have a festival about sweet bread. We have a festival about beans. We just love to come together and celebrate. But if you want to experience it really with, the locals, you can do so. So we have lots of great story angles. And then in the chat, I dropped our press trip form. We do host FAMs, but I think it's more special when you reach out to me and say, hey, this is what I'm really interested in. You build, we build an itinerary that's unique to you, and then you write about what you're truly passionate about. So I hope that inspires you to come visit us.
Thank you, Maria. Lee Court, I'm going to ask you I'm going to ask a similar question, because what would bring writers to your area to write about the Mission Resort? Hey, you're muted.
Okay, I was just sending a text because I need to leave for another meeting, but I would love to share. We are a very slow, relaxed, historic resort in the center of Florida. And we have under 200 rooms and varied accommodations. The property does have authentic Florida history, but I think one of the most important aspects of the mission and the upcoming, we're going to be having 6 or 7 small group trips over 2026 from 6 to 8 or 9 writers. Because everything is on property, and we do have lakes where you can fish. You can have lunch in the chef's garden. Our guests park their car and don't really need to go off the property to enjoy all the things that the Mission Resort has. We are an excellent multi-generational sports type of vacation. An example of that would be sports teams with their parents, maybe grandparents coming and relaxing and staying while the young people have their competitions. We just hosted the International Bearded Collie competition on property because the property is pet friendly. Every room is pet friendly. Every room has a view of our Gulf. And we are actually the highest elevation. I know this is going to sound funny to so many people in high elevation places, but we are the highest elevation golf course in Florida at about 275 feet. So it's undulating, it's award-winning golf. The culinary competitions, we do have them on property. We can do golf putting competitions. So our guests become part of the resort family. It's not where you walk down long hallways and can't find your room. We have golf cart transportation from the hotel to the golf club. It's very easy. It's safe. It has a great appeal for women's getaways. I'd say that's going to be a main focus of some of our media trips this year. Yes, we're doing generic trips each month, but we do have some sub-themes. We will be doing some girlfriend getaway media trips. We're going to be focusing on golf. We will be focusing on sports, soft adventure, and the culinary experience of having conversation. The resort has fire pits dotted throughout the beauty of the landscape. And I'd say the majority of people come to the Mission Resort to relax, leave the world behind, and leave healthier when they go home.
Thank you. Okay, next I'm going to go to Maria Riley. Let's try to keep it quick too, because we're running a little behind, and I'd like to definitely end by 12:30, if not sooner. I'm talking my time. Okay, Maria, I think for you, this might be a good question. A popular trend is experiential travel. People want to travel to experience something, hands-on type activities, whether it be baking cookies, blowing glass, making baskets, working on a farm, picking grapes, you get the gist. So does your destination offer those kind of things? If I remember correctly, you do.
We do. This is a great question for Carlsbad. I would say, first off, a lot of the hotels, when you're staying there, they do offer experiences that are really unique that you can take advantage of. One of my favorites, which has just recently started, is we have Chef Emily Brubaker, who just won Yes Chef. That was on NBC Peacock. If you want to go back and watch that, she is the executive chef at Omni La Costa. She has just started a really unique experience where if you bring in like recipes from your family, she will recreate those, and then you have that experience with your family, potentially in a private room or somewhere at the resort itself. So that's just a really unique experience the hotels offer, and there's many more examples of that. I would say when you're out in Carlsbad, we have everything. I mentioned Barrio Glassworks. That is a fantastic place to learn how to blow glass. They're doing Christmas ornaments right now, which I think is really unique, and they do a lot of fun things throughout the year. We have Handled Pottery. The story behind that is actually really unique for the owner, female-owned, LGBTQ. She's fabulous, and she gets a lot of groups that come in there as like team bonding. We have everything too from candle making to volunteerism, which is still a trend. And one of the things I think is so unique for Carlsbad is our Agua Hedionda Discovery Center, which is, it really provides support for one of our lagoons here, which is Agua Hedionda. They do something called an oyster waddle. And so getting back to sustainability, that's the importance here in Carlsbad with everything that we have with water. A lot of the restaurants will donate their oyster shells. And so Agua Hedionda has an opportunity for volunteering where you make these oyster waddles. So for lack of a better example, they look like these big Tootsie Rolls, and all the oysters are going in. It's a wire that's going around, and then they put these oyster waddles throughout where erosion might be happening and other situations potentially with water. And so it's just a great volunteerism opportunity if you want to give back, leave a place better than when you arrived, and you get to learn something along the way too. So there's definitely a lot of unique opportunities in Carlsbad.
Are you going to be offering media trips next, group media trips or?
Yeah, we do FAMs. What I would say is I'm always looking for who can tell the story of Carlsbad the best. I love to see it through all different lenses. What I would suggest, if you would like to, and I have hosted several from the organization, if you would like to send me an email with your media kit website, examples of some of the stories you've done and why you'd like to visit Carlsbad, we'll review everything and then we can go from there. I am also a fan of having individual visits because then we can really create a curated itinerary for you, and you can tell the story how you see it through your lens.
Perfect. All right, next you can guess the question I'm going to ask Mary Grace Kaufman, because I think of every destination we have with us today, America 250 hits home the most for Mary Grace. Anyway, how is your destination ramping up to celebrate? Do you foresee people visiting your destination for the American 250 activities, which Gettysburg probably is a yes?
Yes, thank you. So as a destination that's known for its history, we really expect America 250 to be drawing a lot of visitors to us. We expect people, of course, Philadelphia is going to get a lot of the attention as it deserves, place where the country was born, but 7 years later, after the founding of the country, I would say the soul of the nation was saved in Gettysburg in that battle that really changed the tide of the Civil War, and then inspired Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. So we are planning a lot of events for the year. The goal is 250 events for the 250th. We'll see if we get there. But among some of the really big events we have going on, if you're trying to think, okay, when's the best time to visit Gettysburg? So April 2nd to 4th, we'll be having a American Revolution Film Festival with Ken Burns. We actually have a Gettysburg Film Festival every year, and Ken Burns is a big fan of Gettysburg. He comes to visit pretty often. And so this year we're focusing on the American Revolution with that film festival in partnership with our local historical society. And then the battle anniversary, people don't realize it's actually butts up right against July 4th. So the battle anniversary is July 1, 2, 3. And then this year, the battle reenactment is July 3, 4, 5 on the weekend. So that's always a super busy time here. The Park Service has a lot of events going on, rangers leading walks and talks. We have battlefield guides giving custom tours by, bus, horseback, horse-drawn carriage, in your own private vehicle. They do that for any visitor, not just for media. And then we also have, the reenactment itself. That is the closest you get to seeing history come to life. That's at a historic farm just outside of downtown. So that's a great thing to experience if you really want to feel immersed in that history. People set up Civil War camps. The reenactors, they actually sleep in the tents there. You can walk among the camps and get to meet the reenactors, and they're really, really passionate about the history. They do this on their own time. They're not paid. Like Disney World has Mickey Mouse, we have our reenactors here that are such an important part of our community, and keep that history alive and help us remember the soldier sacrifice. And then, so a lot of the country is going to be really focused on July 4th, but for us, it doesn't stop there. So going into November, that's actually the anniversary of the Gettysburg Address, November 19th, which we do recognize every year, but we're going to do it bigger and better in 2026. So November 18th and 19th, we're going to have a total recreation of the Gettysburg Address with actors. We have Billy Campbell portraying Lincoln. There's some other Hollywood actors involved. So it's going to be everything from that approximately 25 hours that Lincoln was in town. So him arriving, staying at a historic home downtown, walking to the cemetery, delivering the Gettysburg Address, and the events that followed afterwards. So it's going to be just in a much, much bigger way than we've ever done before for the Gettysburg Address anniversary. And we have, if you go to our website, we have a special page at the top for America 250 that has all our events and information right there.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next. Michael, tell us what the trends are for 2026 in your area.
Well, really, the trends for us, and I know we're running short on time, so I'll kind of keep it short. The trends for us in 2026 are really, we're starting to see a lot of in-state and Southeast region travel. Aside from our peak times of when the snowbirds come out, but we're starting to see a lot more in-state and Southeast region travelers come in. And with, any type of uncertainty that there is out there, whether it be economic, political, or whatever, we're starting to lean a little bit more on in-state and regional travel without taking our eye off the ball of our main domestic markets and our main international markets as well. Again, a trend that we continue to see and we continue to embrace is just the full value added experiences that you get when you come and stay in our part of Central Florida, which is Polk County. We're not Orlando, we're not Tampa, we're located right in the middle, and we're considerably a much, much better value than staying in those markets. And it's a lot more convenient because then you are within convenient striking distance of the Atlantic side of the state and the Gulf side of the state, or the Orlando attractions and the Tampa attractions as well. So that's a big trend that we continue to see, and we're starting to see a little bit more of, especially with our vacation homes that are on the eastern side of the county, which are 7 miles again from Disney. And then culinary travel, which fits right into this group right here. culinary travel continues to be a major focus for us, and a major trend industry-wide of people are wanting to go to a destination to experience what they have to offer from a culinary standpoint. And not just your elite dining experiences, but your mom and pop type of places that a destination offers. And we offer all of that. So those are really the three big trends that we see within our county and within our destination. Really, in terms of fam tours, I'm always welcoming to individual fam tours. In my short time in this business, in this industry, since May of 2023, I have not done a domestic, a group fam tour, but I am open to that if we can work it out. I have done obviously international in terms of Canadian, UK, and Latin American fam tours. But I am always open to talking to people about coming in individually. With some other projects that got thrown on my plate after your conference, Corey, I've been a little slow in getting back to people from the conference about coming in. You will be getting emails from me about people that have shown an interest in coming into Polk County in early 2026. So I am definitely open to discussing. So please reach out to me about any interest that you have in coming and visiting us.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we can do a IFTWA fam trip.
We can definitely talk about that.
We'll have Susan contact you. I know she's not on the webinar, so I will mention it. Last but not least, Jesse. Well, I know I'm going to give you the one. Event travel is another popular trend. Tell us about what events besides Mardi Gras would bring people to your destination, and then anything else you want to add, because you're last up.
Well, I won't keep y'all too long. But yeah, Mardi Gras, I already touched on that. That's always a big one with the Insider's Guide. We also have Festival International that's turning 40 years this year. It's the largest outdoor free Francophone festival in the United States. And they're doing it up this year, even though with cost of international travel and the visas, there's a lot more cost involved that they're having to navigate. They're planning a lot of fun things, but I'm going to go ahead and plug the whole state in terms of like travel. I touched on this earlier. But I think this would be very interesting for somebody to like do and pitch, because statewide, we talked about train travel. There's also bus travel. There's various ways to get from city to city outside of renting a car. So April 17th and 18th is the Baton Rouge Blues Festival. Baton Rouge is our capital city. It's roughly about 45 minutes from me and roughly about an hour and 20 to New Orleans. That kind of kicks off everything in April. And then we roll into Festival International, which is April 22nd through the 26th. Jazz Fest also takes place that weekend, and then Jazz Fest takes place the following weekend after Festival International. And then that last weekend of Jazz Fest, we also have the Crawfish Festival here, which is really big on Cajun and Zydeco, and that one is a paid festival. But you could theoretically get a sense of all of the music culture here in the state just by touring those regions and kind of extending your trip and exploring some different things. And that's the kind of travel that I like to do, around major festivals or things that are happening, go to the festival and then plan a couple of days before or after just to kind of explore. And why it's so nice to have like New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Lafayette, it's really only like a 2.5-hour drive from Lafayette to New Orleans. And again, Baton Rouge is 45 minutes away. So you get to experience, and none of it is the same. Like the culture, even if you go 20 minutes outside of Lafayette, the music, the food, it's all going to be different. So I feel like it's a really good way to just kind of orient yourself with the state, and then just kind of get a sense of like the different musical stylings that we have here. Obviously, in the fall, whenever the conference was here, we have our big festivals, Acadien Creole, which is a Cajun Creole and Zydeco music festival, but we also have a Latin music festival the first weekend. We also have Black Pot Festival and Cook-Off, which is usually the same weekend as Halloween. And that, for all of the food enthusiasts in the group, it's a really great way to be able to taste home cooking. It's something I'm trying to kind of create a product around because Louisiana has a cook-off for just about everything. And everybody wants like the best crawfish etouffee, the best rice and gravy, the best whatever. And you have people that are ready, willing, and able to talk to you, serve you, and share their recipes with you at these cook-offs. And Black Pot is one of my favorite ones because it integrates Cajun Creole and Zydeco music, but it's more like singer-songwriter, Appalachia. It's like a whole bunch of different kinds of musical stylings in a historic village. So really, we do have stuff year-round, but those are kind of the big ones. Mardi Gras, Festival International, and Festival Acadien, February, April, and October.
Great. And you're open to media trips. Are you having a group fam trip?
This year, we're not planning anything formal. So we don't have any group opportunities as of yet.
Okay. Mary Grace wrote because I forgot at the end, sorry, that they are open to hosting individuals and groups. So I want to bring that up. With that, Dave, do you have any last comments? And then I'll give upcoming, I guess, or you can give upcoming, whichever.
Okay, well, Corey, since you usually do it, I'll switch this time and just remind everybody that our next webinar will take place on January 14th. Kat Anderson will be presenting something about increasing affiliate revenue. So for travel writers looking to increase their relationship with affiliates and bring in a little extra money, this would be a great webinar to attend. And then in February, we'll have our IFTWA annual meeting, and you'll get a notice about that. So thank you everyone for being here today. It's been a great program. Corey, we'll let you wrap it up.
Well, first, mainly, I want to thank all of our associates who partook in this webinar, and we really appreciate your spending the time and updating us on your destinations. And I thank all of our members who attended. Thank you.